Hi friends, welcome to the start of a new old project. So if you caught my slow stitching or my chatty catch-up video, which was possibly a couple of months ago now, you may remember I showed this EPP piece that I had started quite a long time ago. And like many projects, it got put away as ideas for other projects came into life, and I just have not gone back to it. Now this would be at least, I would have started this maybe in my late teens, early 20s, and I'm in my early 40s now. So, it's probably a good, possibly 20 years old, this piece. And I also have these flowers that I've made to go with this project. And I've got some spare hexies and some of the fabric strips. And I did have a pattern design at the time, which I had drafted up on my computer very simply. But I don't think I want to do that anymore. I decided I didn't want to do that anymore, and I just kind of wanted to just get this piece finished and then potentially use these bits in something else. And so what I thought of doing was just finishing this off and make it just a little centerpiece that you could throw out on the table with a vase of flowers on. But now I'm actually having other ideas of what I can do with this, and these ideas have been influenced by the things that I'm watching on YouTube and my new sort of growing obsession with slow stitching. Fleur Wood's Joyful Embroidery course has just started up again, so I'm feeling inspired by all the sort of the fabric collages that are coming together and making mood boards. And then I've been influenced by the work of Rachel and Sarah with the Roxy sisters with their projects, Corinne and Kate in the Nest. So lots of different influences. And there was something that I saw on a video this morning in Kate's video. It was her first video detailing what she's doing with her Betty quilt. And she had those beautiful stitcheries that she had done, laid out, and they showed her trying out embroidery stitches. And something about those made me think about this piece. And so what I've decided to do is turn this into a big slow stitch wall collage, fabric collage wall hanging thing. And I was cleaning out my son's wardrobe a little bit this morning too, and I found this old blanket that I use for both my daughter and my son. It's a wool blanket. And I was almost going to put it in a donate bag, but then I thought, oh no, wait, Leela, you could use that for a slow stitching project or many slow stitching projects. So I have decided to use this and these flowers, and I've pulled out some fabrics to make either a wall hanging, or, just thinking about it now, I could just turn this blanket into a new slow stitched snuggly blanket. I don't know now. Do I want to? It's only sort of cot size, so I could make it into a new blanket with slow stitching all over the top of it, or I could just cut what I need to make a wall hanging. So, but anyway, so that's the project. So that's the centerpiece. It's going to be in the middle of whatever I decide to do. I pulled out just a couple of linens. I kind of want the fabric collage that's going to happen behind this to be, I don't want it to take away from this. So I've gone for very soft colors. I want to use nothing that's too heavily patterned in the collage behind it. Maybe just little snippets of the patterned pieces, but predominantly I want to use sort of some of these fabrics are actually used in here. So just these creamy whites and sort of just pale linens and solids in the background. And I will do some embroidery, and I think I will include these. I've got a whole heap of these hexagons that I could use as well. I could stitch up into a little panel behind them. So that's the new project, and I thought I would film and take you along the journey. So first step, I think, is to decide. I'm going to unfold this and I'll decide if I want to do this project over the entire blanket or if I'm just going to make a nice wall hanging. Okay, so I'll be back with my decision. Okay, so yeah, I'm in a bit of a conundrum. I really now am not sure what I'm going to do. I started this project thinking, oh, I just really wanted to dive straight in, but now I'm like, oh, I'm not sure now. So this is the blanket folded pretty much in half. And as you can see, there's like some at the top there. Okay, let's unfold that a little bit. Okay, so that's the blanket unfolded. So you can see the piecing is actually quite big, and so it fills up half, not quite all the way to the top, but it fills up half of the blanket. And I feel like the proportions around it are pretty much spot on in terms of then, you know, doing fabric collage at the back, piecing this down, and then embellishing a little bit over the top of it. So, you know, I'd be cutting this blanket in half and then cutting, you know, an equal amount up the top. So, you know, I'm almost using half the blanket is what I'm saying if I make it into a wall hanging, which makes it quite a large wall hanging. And then I'm like, where would I actually hang it? Or do I just bite the bullet and use the whole blanket and it turns into an even bigger project? And I make it into a snuggly blanket. And then the question comes, do I then make it into more of a quilt and do something on the underside of it? But I have two minds about that. So one is I really wanted to be able to just see the stitching on the back. Like I wanted it to have that naiveness on the back so that you could turn it over and you could see the stitching, and I don't really want to have to combine two layers and do a quilt and have to like then think about quilting it. But then the other issue I have is there is quite a big stain on, I think it's on the top here somewhere. Yeah, so I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera, but you can just see that there's quite a big stain here. Now obviously like this is clean, but you know what it's like having babies, like they do make a mess. So there is a big stain here, so I don't really want to see that stain, which is fine. On the front you won't be able to see it, but on the back you would be able to see it. So then I guess I could just come in just this section on the back and work something over it just so that you don't see the stain. I just don't want to see the stain. So then, yes, the question is, do I just turn this into a really big slow stitch project and make this a really snuggly blanket full of texture, and on the back you will see all the stitching, which is mostly going to be Canthus stitch anyway. I'm not going to heavily do a lot of, I will do some little bits of embroidery here and there, but I think I will be in small amounts. It's more going to be about a play on stitch texture in terms of just like running stitch and Canthus stitch. So if that's the case, then I'm thinking I could just make it do the whole blanket, and I don't mind then that you're seeing, you know, a slip stitch applique stitch on the back, or blanket stitch, or Canthus stitch on the back, and it'll just be a really snuggly textural blanket. Okay, so, and I could just do a couple of little patches on the back where the stains are with fabric. So that being the case, I'm going to need to go back to my stash. and maybe more of my vintage linens, and I'm going to have to pull out some more because I think I've just decided to just use this whole blanket. And it will be a very special project because this blanket kept my kids warm as they were babies, and it's a way of honouring that, I guess. I still want to be able to see the blanket. So okay, let's go back to the stash and pull out some more fabrics then. Okay, so I've gone into my stash and I've pulled out a few more pieces. So I've got a couple of small offcuts of vintage sheets. And of course, because I started with a pink, yellow and blue color scheme, I'm going to stick with that. So I've got these now. Because now it's become a bigger quilt, I will use some more sort of richer fabrics and prints in it, but I'll try and keep to where the centerpiece is. I'll try and keep the fabrics around that quite light, and I'm still going to go for very light, lots of sort of solid areas, and I'll still try and keep these pieces to a minimum or like a smaller amount. But yeah, so I've got some vintage sheets here in some yellows, nice soft yellows, some vintage fabrics. I've got some blues, and I've got this one here, little roses, more little roses. I thought I'd incorporate this one because if it is intended to sort of represent my kids, then this is a really cute little cat print that my daughter loves cats. Then I thought I could cut into, because this has areas of solid color, this tablecloth, so I might cut a chunk of that out. I've also got this tablecloth, which could work really well. I love the flower motif, but also just love this part. It's a really nice linen. And then I thought I could potentially cut into the corner of this tablecloth with the embroidery. And then I don't know that I'm going to put a lot of doilies in it, but this one was in the box that I pulled these other bits out of, so that one's quite nice. And then I've got this pink vintage fabric, so I quite possibly will look into my other doily box and pull out a few pieces that I might use, but that will be something that goes on towards the end anyway. What I really want to get started on is just the background fabric collage part. So that's where I'm going to start, and I don't think I'm going to plan too much. I think I'll just start in a corner. I'll iron everything so it's nice and flat, and then I think I'll just start in one corner and just work my way around the outside edge and sort of work my way into the center and get lighter as I come into the center. I think that's how I'm going to work it. So I don't want to plan too much. I just want this to be very much a just organic process. Work on it just very organically. So I think we'll start there. First, I think I'll just start by ironing a couple of pieces that I might start out with and cut into, and start sort of tacking them down, ready to then stitch over the top. Okay, so I've started playing around with laying out some of my pieces of fabric, and I just thought I'd turn on the camera and have a bit of a play with you. I just want to cover this bit of whatever this is going on here. That one down a little bit more, which means I can bring this piece. Yeah, use a different piece there. And you're going to hear some noise because the children are home now, and it's very hard to get them to be quiet when you're trying to film. So you may hear voices and thumps and thuds of little people. Okay, so just have a play around with some of the bits that I've got with you. So when it comes to this edge, what I'm thinking of doing is folding this over just along the bottom edge. I won't fold all my seams, I'll leave them all raw, but I will do like stitching over the ones that I think are going to fray the most, because I don't really want to have lots and lots of frayed threads everywhere. And that would be an example of the door slamming from Little Feet. Okay, so as I get closer to my piece here, I want more plainer fabrics, so I just have to be careful of that. So I do have some solids. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here and get this tacked down, and just sort of start working here, and I'll just be conscious of not sort of completely stitching down these pieces up here, but I'm happy with what's happening here, and I don't want to go too far without putting these in place with some just basting stitches so that they don't move, and then start stitching over this portion, and I'm just going to work my way around. I think that's how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to use different threads. I'm going to use pearl, floss and cotton threads to do all my stitching. Okay, so but I'm going to baste this down now first. Okay, so I'm just going to use some plain white cotton to do some big basting stitches. I'm going to use my applique pins just randomly to hold the folded seam down here down, and I'll just put a couple of pins in just while I'm basting as well. Okay, I don't know where the time has gotten to today, but it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And considering I had not intended to start this project today, it has kind of taken up most of my time today. So I have gotten these pieces pinned or thread basted down. So I've done just some thread basting stitching through the bottom here, and then I've pinned these ones down as well. These being smaller pieces, I might not thread baste them, but I kind of just want to start stitching at this point. So I've just used the little clover applique pins, and we'll see how we go. At the moment the blanket's folded over double, just so it's not all over the place, and I've been very careful not to go through to the other side, so that's good, as in the other side of the blanket with my basting. And yeah, I am already feeling like I'm really happy with it. And because I folded in half, I kind of know that that's basically where that's going to go. So I have started using the lighter colors where the centerpiece is going to go, and come back in with the brighter colors over here. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it there for this installment of this project. I don't know if I'm going to keep stitching on this today or do something else. My back is hurting a little bit from leaning over this on my table, and there's something else that I kind of want to get finished this afternoon, so I think I'll work on that, and I'll come back to this probably later this week, because as it is with all new projects, all you want to do is work on them, or I do anyway. So yeah, but I really like how it's going so far. And yeah, so I'll see you in the next video. Happy stitching, friends.